Now, it's no longer news that the United States has decided to withdraw from 66 international organizations after a foreign policy review ordered by President Donald Trump. Now, the decision, finalized on January 7, 2026, will end U.S. membership and funding for groups the administration says no longer serve American interests. This includes 31 UN-backed or linked bodies and 35 non-UN organizations across areas such as climate, migration, labor, and global governance. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says many of the groups were found to be unnecessary and, in some cases, a risk to U.S. sovereignty. I'm being joined in the studio by Benjamin Bem Gong, International Relations and Diplomatic Affairs expert. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Gong.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us virtually is Ejike Okpa, a global affairs analyst. He joins us from Dallas, U.S., Texas. Hello, Ejike.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. And you?
At full ground, like you guys say, Nigeria, full ground, well.
Okay. All right. Let me start off with you, Ejike. This whole situation, pulling out of 66 organizations, what does that say of the global, how do you say it now, of diplomatic relations and global governance?
Well, look, thank you for having me, and thank you for the question. I don't think American taxpayers should be, supporting and subsidizing the existence of organizations that at the end of the day, there's a bunch of bureaucrats that don't do anything except to shuffle papers, and make recommendations without actually understanding what economic development is. As far as I'm concerned, the UN is no longer a relevant organization. I don't even know when they were relevant. So if I were to have my way, let the UN become an advisory service. If you need whatever it is they're going to recommend for your country, then call upon them and let them do their study and come to you and tell you what to do. But other than that, even this annual jamboree they did, everybody gets together in New York, get their 15 minutes of fame or shame, do it virtually, do it by Zoom. Any president can, take as much time from their home country and say whatever they want to say. But I think I commend Trump taking the bull by the horn and said we're not going to support that. We in America, we don't look to UN for anything. Okay, you look at UN has, I think, one of the longest peacekeeping forces in the history of UN has been in Congo. So okay. Since then, what have they done for Congo? What have they done? They've even worsened the situation. So yeah, I think it's time we rethink this membership thing, and it's very, disturbing that African nations that constitute the largest contingent of members in UN still go there and waste their time instead of saying, let us focus on what matters to us and not climate change.
Okay.
Climate change is a hoot. Yeah, go ahead.
Ejike, we'll just take a moment and we'll go on a quick break. When we'll come back, we'll hear from Mr. Gong, who's here in the studio with us. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Benjamin, you heard Ejike talk about the reasons why the U.S. needs, in his words, the UN has lost its relevance, and so that the US decided to move out, it's a fantastic decision.
I think I disagree with my good friend Ejike completely. America helped in the creation of the United Nations and some of the agencies you have today. So for America to wake up and start destroying what it helped, in fact, played the leading role in creating and establishing, I think calls to question. That's one. Two, we should also be looking at the powers granted the president of any country, in coming up with executive orders, as it were. Executive orders have the potential to create dictatorship. And I think we should be able to, it has the potency.
Should be a limitation.
Yeah, there must be a limitation. The potency to make a dictator, the potency to create greater friction between the National Assembly or Congress, as it were, in the United States, and the president. Executive orders carry with it the weight of law. So it shouldn't just be at the whims and caprice of any leader. In fact, for me, this brings to fore the fact that American institutions no longer matter. It's what the president works up and says or does at any given time that becomes the law. I think we should be looking at that very seriously.
Well, educate, you heard that if the U.S., in other words, Benjamin saying if the U.S. says the UN is irrelevant, has lost its relevance, then by his actions, based on the fact that he's using executive orders, he has just said that the American institutions have somewhat lost their relevance. The president has a final say.
Well, that's a lousy comment. Here's what it is. Because U.S., was instrumental in the formation of the UN. Does not mean if U.S. wants to get out of it, they can get out of it. Just like getting in a marriage. If you want a divorce, you're entitled to get out of it when it's no longer relevant for the relationship. What I'm saying is, of all the 100 and something member nations, what you have to do, look at your own internal structure and your internal resources and gets to build up from within as opposed to looking to UN. Well, again, what has UN done that has made the world a better place? All this come one, come all is not relevant. America taxpayers, if you look at who makes the most contribution in sustaining UN, it's the US. So if the taxpayers are saying, hey, we want this out of it, we should have the right to pull out of any relationship we have, whether it is regional or whether it is global. Just like the countries in West Africa that say they no longer want to be part of ECOWAS. Is anybody screaming and jumping up and down?
Okay, but so, if the two of you can weigh in on this. Now, some are arguing that this decision, yes, it might have started out, the investigation might have started out some time back, but this decision coming up now, at a time when America just took out an action in Venezuela that is not, some will say, not sanctioned by Congress, points to the fact that America doesn't want to be held accountable by anybody for its actions.
America doesn't have to, for what the president did in Venezuela, he doesn't need the Congress to approve it.
Okay.
But again, there are interpretations, from both sides of it. The thing is, it's medicine after death. We did it. The first time America did something like this was 1901. When the president of Philippines was taken out, we did it to Saddam Hussein. He was out of it. We did it to Emmanuel Noregi, was out of it. America engineered the exit of Gaddafi. So what I'm saying, you're saying, sovereignty makes sense when you focus on what matters for your country. All these, kumbaya, love one, love everybody, it doesn't work. Even in economics.
Okay.
So barrier to entry is, is what creates value.
But
make yourself valuable and not just look for loose or a relationship.
Ejike, I want to come back to you to talk about the ICE situation before we go. And we have less than 3 minutes. But what do you think about being held accountable?
I think Trump, from the very first time he was elected into office, the man that was getting out, Obama, had this to say about him, that he's afraid that Trump thinks before, in fact, he doesn't think before he talks, he doesn't think before he acts. The only thing that gives him confidence is that United States institutions will hold back the Trump that he knows. I think that is what is still playing out. Trump, before he thinks, he commits the havoc and leaves the world with it. Front and back, today, tomorrow, because he doesn't think before he says. United Nations agents, if you look at the agencies he has withdrawn the United States from, broadly speaking, I would have loved to comment on 3.
Climate change.
Yes, climate change. Trump does not believe in climate change. Even as the whole world is seeing, not just a matter of belief, is seeing the effects of climate change. Trump said, I do not. So literally all the climate change related agencies United States has withdrawn from. That is the whims and caprices of one person, of a dictator. If you look at the democratic, what shocks me the most, where democratic institutions were also, establishments were also involved. America is the champion of democracy around the world, as it were. And today was, no, we don't want to monitor elections anywhere. Yes, ordinarily, that would have been good. But it does not tally. It does not rhyme with the orientation of the United States as we know it.
Okay, Ejike, just this last question before we let you go. The matter of ICE shooting Renee Good in Minneapolis, that matter, there are protests already, and there's fear that the protest might spread up to Washington, D.C.
It's very unfortunate anytime people die, at the hands of, law enforcement agencies, whether it was engineered by them or the protester. The point is don't take the law into your hand. Since ICE has been going around to flush America of illegal people, there have been people have taken it upon themselves to defend what shouldn't even be defended. America is a country and we are a nation of laws. Nobody should be violating American laws just because things are hard in their own country. Nigeria kicked out Ghanaians in the 80s. Okay, Let to Ghana must go. So when people are jumping up and down and making comments about what America is supposed to do, Americans are the ones that gave Trump the mandate of 77 million votes to do what he's doing. If nobody likes it, tough luck. What happens? He has 3 more years to go, and we're gonna deal with it. But don't look into the backyard of your neighbor. Take care of your own home. Be responsive to your own people. Again, I don't like climate change. It's a voodoo science. If climate change is bothering you, take care of what happens within your own defined geography, and not just say, "Oh, everybody's come here and rescue me." Heck no. If Nigeria, hold on a second, I spoke at Abuja in October, and I told them there are no climate change, there are climate conditions. The sun still rises from the east until the sun rises from the west and sets somewhere else. Then we know there's climate change. All this other science of voodoo, by people who are paid to say what they're supposed to pay, it doesn't rhyme with America. We take care of our own, and if you don't like it, go do something else.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I wish we had more time to have this conversation. Mr. Ejike Opah is a global affairs analyst, and he joined us from Dallas, Texas, USA. But here in the studio, we had Benjamin Bemgong, an international relations and diplomatic affairs expert. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We would bring you back again because there's that visa bond thing that we need to look at. Yeah. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in this evening, and a Happy New Year to you.